Welcome to the HerbWorks podcast featuring Roger Drummer, the formulator at herbworks.com. An educator in the field of nutrition and Chinese herbalism, Roger has a unique ability to keep things simple by taking all the guesswork out of complicated health issues. HerbWorks is committed to helping you improve your health and enhance your life through herbs and common sense.
Well, hello, it's Roger from HerbWorks, and today I'm going to be talking about inner peace. I just had the great fortune to read through a bunch of our testimonials, a lot of these letters that were just written to us in emails to our website, and God, they're just so awesome. I want to share them with people. And plus, it's really about a lot of different ways that people take inner peace and what they use it for, and I think it's very educational for people out there who are looking for a stress supplement to know not only about inner peace, that it's available, but to actually know how people use it and that it's just not used one way for one thing. You know, we get this idea about health supplements all the time, that it's for one thing. But the reality is that it takes care of something that's going on in your body, and that one something may take care of 5 or 6 things. I remember when I was training as an herbalist at the Tea Garden in Venice Beach, and a few years into that, you began to realize that almost everybody's health issues were basically wrapped up in stress, and that if you could relieve their stress, a lot of things would go away. I remember, just dozens of clients that would come in and have 10 major health issues they were talking about. I mean, it's just to listen to it was unbelievable, the amount of stuff they had going on with their health. And if you gave them something for stress and you actually relaxed them, in the context of the rest of their program, the next time you saw them, they usually only had about 3 things going on with their health. In fact, oftentimes I'd hear this one expression, "Oh yeah, I forgot I had that." Yeah, they forgot they had it on because it no longer existed, right? So this is what happens when you're stressed. When you're stressed, your body shuts down so much that it just can't take care of basic functioning. You know, for example, your digestion. You know, everybody complains about digestive issues, not realizing when they're stuck in fight or flight that their body shuts down their digestion. Why is that? Well, your body knows it's not important to digest your food while you're trying to fight for your life. And that's what your body thinks is going on. So all these things happen, and for most people, they get locked into it, and they're happening all the time. So I'm going to start out by just kind of getting into some of these comments we had and giving you a little bit of an explanation about what it actually means. My first one, which is great, they just noticed that they were sleeping deeper and not feeling stressed out. And so she gave it to her husband, and it has been a miracle. He goes, "It was better than seeing a therapist, and our relationship has improved, and we've had a very stressful year, very stressful life, and I think we might have killed each other if it wasn't for inner peace." Now, believe me, I laugh, but I'm only laughing because I know exactly what they're talking about in my own life. I'm married. You know, I have kids that live at home yet. And so the amount of stress that everybody's under doing their own particular jobs, doing their own interactions with the rest of the family can cause a lot of nervous system tension. And oftentimes the fights you get in at home have nothing to do with your relationship or what's actually going on. It's the fact that your nervous system has built up so much tension without having a release that at some point you blow up or express yourself at someone that's totally inappropriate. And you might have heard this before, that more than likely, most people, and this probably happened to you in a grocery store or somewhere else, someone gets really mad at you over something very trivial. And that's because they're not actually mad at you for what just happened. You were the little trigger that allowed them to finally break down and blow off steam about something they've been holding on to for sometimes days, maybe even weeks. And so that's why you can't get too upset at people that are having a meltdown, because usually it has very little to do with you, right? kind of hard to remember that when you're in the middle of it, but that's basic reality. And so I laugh when I read this because this is what inner peace does. It takes the tension off your nervous system, and it changes the energetic position of your brain so you can actually respond to your stressors differently. Now, by energetic position of your brain, what I'm talking about is that when you're in chronic stress, which most people are, your brain shifts down into a survival mode. It's down into fight or flight. And being stuck in fight or flight means you react to everything as a fight and as a point of survival that you got to get through, as opposed to when your brain shifts up to the frontal lobe in the top of your head and you see things as just a possibility. You see the openings and all the different aspects of life that are going on, and you make decisions. That doesn't happen when you're stressed out. So when you change the energetic position of your brain and calm your nervous system a little bit, you react to life differently. And in this case with them, it improved their relationship because they were more focused, they were more present, and they weren't so stressed out or nervous. And it's the little things like that. We always talk about downward spirals in life. We're always caught up in these downward spirals. Well, what they're talking about is they created an upward spiral. In other words, they had small little events in their relationship and in their life that show them that things can be different because they're not so stressed out. And all of a sudden, everything starts happening in a more congruent way, a more peaceful way, and their life changes for the good because they started an upward spiral, because they changed their own internal energy and the energy of their brain, and then they reacted to everything differently. I love that testimonial. This one really reminded me of something. They talked about how gentle and profound sense of calm and balance that they got when they took inner peace. And then here's my favorite part. You may not be aware before taking it of the amount of tension you hold, but 40 minutes later you enter a much calmer space, and then you're able to manage stress of all kinds. This reminded me of something that happened to me, clear back in 2002. I had moved out of L.A. to Taos, New Mexico, which is a very laid-back cowboy town in northern New Mexico. And I was staying in this house out in the country, and every day I'd get up and go outside to meditate because I was meditating every morning. And I had this chair set up in between 3 pine trees in the sagebrush desert there. And that's where I meditated. Very calm, very peaceful. It was a pretty much stress-free life. But the reason I'm telling you this is about 2 months after I got there, my wife and I had the same experience within a day. I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden I felt like 50 pounds came off of my system. And what it was my nervous system finally relaxed from all the tension of being in LA all the time, all being around all those people, being stuck in that traffic every single day, having to deal with all these things that you deal with in LA that I wasn't dealing with anymore. But it took me 2 months, and finally just sitting there one day, I just felt like all this weight came off of me. It's too bad I didn't have inner peace at the time. But surprisingly, that's where I started formulating it back in 2002. That's where I was actually starting to work on that formula, was living up there out in the country outside of Taos. So, but anyway, you don't have to wait to get that feeling now. You don't have to wait 2 months and sit out in the middle of 3 pine trees and meditate to get that feeling of inner peace. It can actually come over you within 45 minutes just by taking a few caps and experiencing how that goes into your system, especially when you take it by itself on an empty stomach.
This podcast is brought to you by HerbWorks, specializing in stress and brain essentials. Check out Roger's other articles and videos at herbworks.com. While you're there, take a look at our natural herbal-based product line for energy, stress, immunity, and sleep. Now back to Roger.
So here's one that I really find it's important for people to know about. And this is a guy started a new job, and so he started taking one capsule of Inner Peace about a week before he got his job, and it helped him to calm his nervous system. And then he takes one cap a day in the morning, and it helps him with his stress at work, and he's able to handle everything. The reason I say this is so important is because this guy had the idea to do a different dose than what is said on the bottle, right? Most people don't do that. Most people don't realize you can take varying amounts of anything that you buy, and your system may be different than most other people. You know, we put a dose on the bottle of taking 3 caps on an empty stomach because 3 caps works really well for most people. It also allows the most amount of people to actually have an experience of feeling it calm their nervous system. But that doesn't mean it's an appropriate dose for everyone. You might get that first hit on it and really feel relaxed and find out later on that after that, 2 capsules works really good for you. Or you might be like this guy that finds out that 1 cap during the day just takes the edge off, so he's able to deal with all his stressors and yet be present and not get too tired or too relaxed. It just puts him right in the mode that he needs to for work. So it's always great to play with these things and to see what dose works for you in what situation. I myself, I'm still a 3 cap at a time guy. I probably do it twice a day. And, you know, I find that when I take Inner Peace, I get a really great feeling from it every single time I do it. I feel my nervous system calm. I also find that I sleep much deeper because I take Inner Peace. And that's how we started out with this product. You know, Inner Peace, for those of you who aren't real familiar with it, is the herbal portion of Tian Chi. Tian Chi is our anti-stress brain energy drink. And part of that drink, over half of it, is just the herbal formula for calming your nervous system. Now, if you took a packet of Tian Chi, it's the equivalent of taking about 5 caps of Inner Peace. So it's a pretty good dose. But the reason it doesn't just make you too relaxed is because it's a balanced formula that includes brain nutrients. It has all these other aspects of picking up and energizing your brain. It has a little bit of green tea, all these different things that work to support the herbs in it that calm your nervous system. And the reason we do this is because this is kind of what your brain needs when you're at work. And this is what you need when you go into a gym and work out. You know, one of the things that happened with Tian Chi is we have this huge amount of athletes that just love to take Tian Chi before they work out. And from just hearing those testimonials, I now take it before I go to the gym and work out because it really does work. It's great for working out. But the reality is that some people just like to take the herb part of it. And that's how we made Inner Peace. And really my original idea was people would take Inner Peace in the morning, and then around 4 or 5 o'clock at night, they'd take some Inner Peace to reset their nervous system and restore their adrenals and get them set for going to sleep at night. And so that's how the formulas came about. And so, you know, this is originally how we always told everybody to take Inner Peace. Take 3 of them right around dinner in the evening. You'll calm your nervous system. A few hours later, even you'll be sleeping deeper because it allows your body to reestablish its natural rhythms. One of the problems with stress is what? It disrupts everything, and by everything I mean even your body's natural rhythms of when to be awake, when to be energized, when to be asleep. All these things get interrupted by the stress response and that flood of other hormones and adrenaline through your system. So, and this is what one of these other testimonials are talking about. They're talking about how they sleep so much better even though they're taking it in the morning. And, people, that's hard for people to understand that they can take a supplement in the morning and actually sleep better at night. But again, why is that? It's because of how it's affecting your body's own natural rhythm and how it directly affects how your glandular system responds to stress. It's your nervous system is allowed to now not only have a stress response, which is something you don't want to take away, you just want to manage it. You want it to be a healthy stress response. So by taking Inner Peace, what you've done is strengthen the part of your glandular system that is involved in the stress response, so that when you have one and when it's over, your body then floods it with the amount of hormones it's supposed to flood it with to correct it. And then it goes back into reestablishing and rebalancing out your entire system. That's how your body's supposed to work. We lose that part of the rhythm of our nervous system because we get locked in chronic stress. There's always these little things we're reacting to, and we're reacting to those things because we're stressed out to begin with. We got locked into stress. Our brain is dropped down into fight or flight and not popping back up to the frontal lobe so you can make better decisions. So you're kind of just locked in this loop, and you lose the ability to get the signal from your adrenals back to your brain that says, whoa, shut it off. It's time to go back into rejuvenation. So this is kind of what adaptogenic herbs are famous for, and this is why Inner Peace works so well, because it has that ability to put your body back into a position where it's functioning the way it's supposed to be functioning. Now, one of the other things mentioned in this testimonial is that they take one capsule of Inner Peace and it gives them energy. Here's a funny thing about adaptogens that a lot of people don't realize. If you take them in large amounts, you tend to get tired and you tend to want to take a nap if you've taken too much. That's okay with certain people. It'll happen at any dose with certain people, and usually it's the people that are so stressed out and they're so sleep deprived that their body is trying to force them into taking a nap, just going down for a couple hours. Because if that happens and that happens to you, don't think it's a bad thing, because in that period of time, your nervous system actually began the process of reorganization. It shuts down and your body goes into shutting off the stress response completely, and then it starts to rebuild your glandular system, and in most cases your adrenals. Your adrenals then start to soak up energy, and that's something that almost everybody needs to do. We only usually do that at night when we fall asleep, but if you're someone who doesn't fall into deep sleep, then you're not only missing the phase of the day where your body repairs and rebuilds everything, but you're missing the phase where your brain actually detoxes and cleanses itself. You're missing the phase where your adrenals actually get to shut down from the stress response and issue the hormones needed to actually go back into rebuilding. So it's a very important phase that almost everybody that has chronic stress is missing out on. And this is one of the beauties of Inner Peace and adaptogenic herbs, because it retrains your body by giving it what it actually needs to be in a state of optimum function. And this is the whole idea behind tonic herbs in general. You know, tonic herbs are food-grade herbs. They're a part of Chinese herbology that's a very small part. Out of the thousands and thousands of herbs, there's less than 100 tonics. And out of that 100, there's probably less than 20 that are considered major foods for the body. And so our tonic works by allowing an organ or a gland that it specifically works on to have the optimum nutrition and energy to function at its highest possible state of health without pushing it anywhere. It doesn't push it into hyperdrive or into a state where it's producing much more of anything than it needs. No, it just gives it the substance and energy to perform its functions at its best optimum rate or best state of health. This is why in China they often call that state a state of radiant health or health beyond danger, because your body's in a position and it's strong to withstand almost anything and always have its best response to whatever's going on in life. Kind of what adaptogens are about. They're about keeping you balanced and strong so you have your best response to whatever's going on in life. Now, here's another one that I that was really fascinating to me. They take Inner Peace and Tianqi both, and they notice how much better they're sleeping, and they're doing just what I talked about earlier about how you take Tianqi in the morning and you take Inner Peace at night. But he mentions in this testimonial how he's using it for his physical training. He has a very challenging training program. He felt like when he was over 50 years old, he wasn't recovering from his workouts, and then he would have a terrible sleep after working out. You know, this is something that I could not figure out when I was younger. And now that I've become an herbalist, and I understand it now, but back when I was in my early 30s, I was a runner. And I ran a lot of times 100 miles in a week. I ran a 10K race almost every other weekend. Sometimes for, one summer, I think I ran a race every weekend. I didn't know if I loved it that much or it's just my way of collecting t-shirts. But either way, I ran a 10K race every weekend. And I never took a day off. I was one of those runners who ran all the time. And then I got into triathlons. So I've run probably 3 marathons. I loved half marathons better. And I've run all different types of races. But the thing that I noticed, which was very fascinating to me, is oftentimes when I ran a half marathon, but especially a marathon, I could not sleep at all that night. I was exhausted and my body hurt, and you would think I would just fall into a deep sleep and not get up for 10 or 12 hours. No, I could not go to sleep at all. I'd always feel terrible for 2 or 3 days. It would usually take me about 3 days after a marathon to unwind and actually get a good night's sleep. Now, I could never figure that out until I started doing Chinese herbology and I started learning about adaptogens and all this stuff. And, this person's writing in and talking about the same thing. After a really hard workout, they can't go to sleep. And why is that? It's because it has to do with how your adrenals react to your workout. When you work out really strenuously, it's a stressor to your whole body, and you're activating your adrenal glands. They're really pumping out like it's fight or flight. And I can imagine a marathon's the same way. You have probably heard the story about the first guy who ran a marathon. The reason that it's 26.2 miles is it's after this Greek guy who ran 26.2 miles to tell this other group of soldiers about a victory in a battle. And he fell over dead, actually. So the reality is it's a very stressful thing to put your body through is to run a marathon. And so if you don't have a way of helping your body to then relax, your adrenals just turn on and they're exhausted after that race. And this is where adaptogenic herbs would help. And they helped this guy tremendously, and they would have helped me with my recovery from a marathon because it causes your body to relax its nervous system and the adrenals to go into rebuild function. And that's what I was missing when I was younger and never could figure it out. And that's what he's talking about in this email. It's about allowing your body to recover. And we have a lot of athletes who use Tianqi for that same reason, and they take Inner Peace late in the afternoon because they just recover better from their workouts. They wake up the next day and they have more energy to get started again and go out and work out and get everything done. These high-profile athletes are pounding the pavement and working out 3 to 4 hours a day. So anything that you can do to help your body recover, and believe me, adaptogenic herbs just have this ability to allow your body to go into the phase it needs to go in to actually recover. Athletes these days, they have nutritionists, they have, managers, they have all these coaches, and yet it doesn't really matter how well you eat if you don't have a nervous system that has the ability to shut down when you're done with all your activity and actually go into the rebuild phase. Because if you miss that at night, you're not going to actually fully utilize all the nutrients you ate during the day to rebuild your entire muscular system that you tore down during the day when you were working out. This is one of the most important things about sleep, is that that's when you utilize all the nutrients that you take in, and you rebuild your energy for the next day, and you do all the repair and reorganization of your entire system. So if you're missing that deep 2 hours, that first 2 hours of sleep, and you're not staying in a deep sleep, your body's not actually recovering. And that's one of the beauties of taking adaptogenic herbs, especially Inner Peace, and why it works so well for athletes. It's just about recovery time. So we have another testimonial here about taking Inner Peace, Tian Chi, how they love Tian Chi and it gives them great energy, but they wouldn't be without Inner Peace either because it helps their sleep so much. And they talk about one of the aspects of Inner Peace that I really like, but some people don't like to do this, and I don't know why. But she talks about how many amazing dreams she has when she takes Inner Peace. And I find on certain nights I have amazing dreams too, and I love it. Some people don't. They don't like to have vivid dreams. I find it to be much more fun than going to the movies, and it's free. So I love it. But anyway, it's just one of those things that happens to certain people, and she wouldn't be having that effect if she didn't get into a really deep sleep. If she didn't relax fully and actually go to sleep, she wouldn't be having any dreams. And so, it's one of those aspects that she actually loves. But again, basically when I look through all these things, what I want people to know about adaptogenic herbs, Tian Chi, Inner Peace in particular, is that there are certain doses that work for people. Even though a product's put out in a particular dose or it's recommended, that's usually what works the best for most people. But you're trying to hit a dose or a level that works, like I said, for the vast majority of people. We have tons of people that take 2 Tian Chi a day, right? Take one in the morning, take one in the afternoon. They wonder if it's too much. No, it's not. I did that myself for 8 years or so. And so it's not. We have people that take varying doses of Inner Peace. We had a client who takes 18 of them in one day because they have anxiety. Now, would I be able to do that? No, not unless I just wanted to spend the day in bed. I'd be so zoned out and tired I couldn't handle it. But for their nervous system, that's what they actually required. So you have to realize that dosing can be very particular to most people. We have people that open their packet of Tian Chi and take a couple tablespoons out and save the rest for later. And that works perfectly fine for them. I used to do that with my kids when they were younger. I'd just give them a tablespoon or two. Now they're all old enough and, in high school that they're able to actually take a packet of it. But they love it in their milkshakes. So, there's just different ways to do things. You have to have an imagination. And once you de-stress, you'll be surprised how much your imagination even opens up because your brain has come up out of fight or flight and it's functioning differently. Your whole life can be different because you're not so stressed out. So I'm going to wrap it up there. This is Roger with herbworks.com. And if you want more information, you can go to our website, which again is herbworks.com.